Hello everybody, welcome back for another video. Hope you're all doing well and now you're all having a great day. Welcome back for another weekend edition where I take a little break away from the normal news of the week and I try to hit on other topics and other things that are happening in the cryptocurrency community. Today I'm going to be focusing on the what I've started to call the one Bitcoin rule. A little bit of a backdrop to this. I made a video a day or two or three ago where I was talking about, I think if I had a certain amount of money, what I myself would do with this money. And in the video, I think I put the money into around 13 different altcoins. And a lot of people were commenting in the comment section saying that they thought it was irresponsible for someone to tell potential investors who could be getting into the cryptocurrency space not to even put $10 into Bitcoin because they believe that Bitcoin will probably be the number one coin for a very long time. This also completely ties into a couple of days ago as well. We had news that Charlie Lee had said that everyone should buy at least one Bitcoin even before buying Litecoin, which is the coin that he gave birth to. But that's a completely different video. We won't even talk about that in this video. The point is I have an honest question, and I mean this. I want to know exactly what everyone thinks. Try not to get too rude in the comment section, but I want actual answers as to what everyone actually thinks on this entire topic. Do you think, honestly, that it's necessary that everyone should at least own one Bitcoin before buying any other altcoin out there, meaning that people should put around $8,200 right now of whatever they have their savings in order to buy Bitcoin before buying anything else? On that same exact topic, I'm going to kind of go through a bit of like prices and stuff like that. Not even too in depth. It's more or less the things that we've heard before. To put it short, we've heard as far as from John McAfee has said that by 2020, the price of one Bitcoin will hit $1 million. I think the lowest thing that we've seen for 2020 from people giving price estimations has been around, I think, $200,000 to around $250,000 per Bitcoin, and this simply has to do with the mining reward getting cut in half and more people figuring out what Bitcoin is, the spread of Bitcoin, if you will. And even as a little bit further on the same exact topic is that by the year 2030, I've heard this multiple times, that the price of Bitcoin will be $100 million per coin. I know that sounds completely insane from the moment where we are now, but it pretty much comes down to the idea is that as the mining reward constantly gets cut in half every couple of years, people will start to go insane, realizing that they can never own one actual full Bitcoin. This is kind of the thing that we spoke about in the Charlie Lee video as well. We've touched on this, but there's never been, like, I think, a dedicated video. Forgive me if I'm mistaken, but the point is that the idea is there will never be enough full Bitcoin for each millionaire on the planet to own, and actually even for all the millionaires who are living in America right now, just America, nowhere else, United States of America, there's not even enough of one full Bitcoin circulating around for all of them. Based on the numbers that we have 17 million circulating Bitcoin right now, the idea is that 4 to 6 million of them have been completely lost forever on people's computers simply because they threw them out. They didn't know what they were doing at the time. They got rid of them. People lost private keys, whatever the scenario might have been, which leads us to a world where we only have 11 million circulating Bitcoin. And then we went over the numbers as well before in another video where we talked about how it's believed, or rather I calculated from all of the mining companies, mining corporations, the billionaires and millionaires who constantly talk about Bitcoin and how much Bitcoin that they have, we get a number anywhere between 2 to 5 million Bitcoin that are actually circulating at any given time, going through exchanges back and forth, which means that there's less than one Bitcoin per millionaire actually floating around. So the friend who I always talk about, I'm actually, if you're listening, I think it's time for him to, he had a crypto YouTube channel before and then he completely stopped it. But I think it's time for him to bring it back because he has very interesting ideas when it comes to the entire cryptocurrency space. One of the things that we talk about a lot is, I know it seems like a joke, but this kind of ties into it right here. I mentioned this before and it's still kind of a joke, but we make jokes based on this actual prediction. And it comes down to, there's an article, I'm pretty sure you can find it. It's called The Bitcoin Time Traveler. I spoke about it once before, but I think I touched on it for half a second because it is kind of weird. It's literally something that someone wrote on Reddit. This guy claims to be from the future. I believe he says he's from the year 2040 or something like that. But he says around the year 2019, something starts to happen with Bitcoin where people more or less start to gobble it up as quickly as possible. He says by the year 2022, something cataclysmic happens in the world economy. People start to just turn to Bitcoin because of its price rise and its stability. And then by the time we get to the year 2030, he says that even just having 0.01 Bitcoin is actually enough to live off of forever. Like I said, this is pure fantasy. I've said fantasy-like things in other videos before, and other people took me as if I was telling the truth or something factual. If I tell you just to take things for fun, I do like to have fun. I am human. So we usually base our, when we talk about cryptocurrency sometimes, point is we'll reference his 0.01. But when you look at for a lot of the price predictions for the price of Bitcoin by 2030, and even from a lot of the people who are into economics and stuff like that, they say if we stay on the same path, not even talking about McAfee's prediction of the 1 million, they say if we stay on the same path and more people start to get into Bitcoin, if the mining reward continuously gets cut in half, and we see this gradual price rise from where we are now, it could get to a point where Bitcoin could actually hold a large portion of the world's GDP, meaning that a large portion of the money that's circulating in the world will just be in Bitcoin. It's been estimated that if we stay on this path, that by 2030, the price of Bitcoin, or rather the price of Bitcoin will be so large that people will simply denominate things in Bitcoin. And one of the main arguments against doing this now is that if you go to a shop and you're trying to buy something and something costs 0.1348 Bitcoin and you go to pay for it, then it could be 0.142, and nobody wants to do that, whatever the case might be, whatever the argument is. We're not going to go into it in this video. So I honestly want to know, what do people think about this? Don't tell people how much you own if you own any Bitcoin at all. In the comment section below. Don't spread your business. You never know who's out there listening. Just tell me more or less if you do own. Just write, yes, I do own some. Tell me if you even own 0.01. Like if your main goal has always been just to own the 0.01. Because if we do get to a point, I know it seems far-fetched. I know I tried telling this to someone else before. Someone was upset in the comment section. I think people always are upset no matter what I say. I was talking something about the future price of one of the coins, and they were saying how that's absolutely ludicrous. And you have to remember, Bitcoin was pennies. It was less than, I think, like 4 cents at one point. And the fact that we are here now, and the fact that we got to 20,000, no one could have ever seen that possible. I was looking through articles before I made this video, and a lot of old articles. I found stuff from like 2012, 2013, and they were talking about the price of Bitcoin in 2018 and 2019. And they were saying that they assumed that based on the price in 2012 and 2013, that the price of Bitcoin would probably only reach around $1,500, maybe $1,000 by 2018, because it just didn't seem, more believable that the price could shoot up any higher than that. Just didn't seem possible. And they said they believed at that point that the price of Bitcoin by 2025, if people were still using it, because this was 2012, they were saying that Bitcoin's price could potentially hit 5,000. And as I was reading those articles, I thought it was very interesting because we've completely shattered that multiple times over. Even last year, I think the highs that they thought that Bitcoin would get to was 2,500. And by the end of the year, all the analysts and stuff on TV who went on CNBC, they were all saying that they thought that the price of Bitcoin could possibly hit around 5,000 if we were lucky. They didn't see 10,000 in the cards, but possibly by 2020. The point is, after all of this, my friend sent me something as I first woke up. And I have a problem. When I first wake up and I make a video, I can't speak properly at all. So I decided to give it a bit of time before I actually made the video. His point was, he said if there are indeed he said he rounded it up to around 15 million Bitcoin floating around somewhere out in the world. He said if it gets to a point where everyone in the world starts flying to Bitcoin, and this is assuming, let's say, everyone over the age of 18, let's not include teenagers and or kids in this equation, he said we would have around 2.5 billion people, around half the population of the world, just counting all the adults. He said if Bitcoin was distributed equally from that 15 million number of the Bitcoin floating around, every single human or adult on Earth would literally only have enough to have 0.006 Bitcoin, which ties us into this price over here. If we do get to a future in the year 2030 where, let's say, you are only able to even have 0.006 Bitcoin, you would still have, I believe, $500,000 based on the Satoshi value, which kind of ties in also to the Bitcoin time traveler thing. He says, once again, this is all for fun. At least that portion of it, I'm not telling you that there actually is a Bitcoin time traveler out there who has come to save humanity by telling us to buy a fraction of a Bitcoin. The point is that he says that it gets to a point where the world is hugely divided by wealth. I'm pretty sure you see this now, how the world is built. We live in a world where you either have or you definitely don't have, and this is actually expected in the real world to actually increase even further, as a lot of people who are or do not have or heavily in debt, and that debt is expected to continue. And people who have, the general not even idea is, once you already have wealth, it's very easy to continue to grow wealth. So the idea is, in his story that he wrote on Reddit, he says that even in his time around the year 2030, just having 0.01 Bitcoin is enough to sustain you for the rest of your life, which would give us a 0.01 Bitcoin price of around $1 million, which is safe to say, if you are careful and know where to go, even if you went to Thailand or something like that, you could probably live for the rest of your life on $1 million. Point is, I like to discuss things like this, like I said, and it's kind of crazy that it even has to be said. I don't know if Bitcoin is going to hit $100 million. No one knows. No one knows if it's even going to hit $1 million. No one knew that it was going to hit $20. Don't take anything that I say in these videos. If I'm not just talking about news, that's the news. If I make a weekend video and I'm talking about the possible future price of Bitcoin, don't scream at me in 2 years and say, you were wrong. I put my money into Bitcoin. Why is Bitcoin not at the $1 million that you said? Like I said, it's a shame that has to be said, but people keep screaming at me, saying that I told them to do this. The point is, I'm curious if we do get to a world, first of all, not even accounting into all of that. This is his numbers based on 15 million people that he did the calculations on. I still believe that there's probably only 2 to 5 million Bitcoin floating around at any given time. And even that, I think, might be a bit inflated. The amount of people that we've seen who have been even institutional investors and stuff like that, who've been buying over the counter, I think they're far less Bitcoin than people actually think. I think people look at this number and they assume, that this is actually what's going on in the world, when it's probably not. Not to beat a dead horse, but let me know what you think. Let me know if even your goal is or has always been to just have 0.01 Bitcoin, just have even a portion of it should something kind of go crazy with it, because I think we've entered a time period where it is still fairly believable where Bitcoin could possibly take over the world. I mean, it sounds completely far-fetched. I know even when you think about it, even I want to hear from Bitcoin maximalists. I know that you guys love Bitcoin, but do you honestly think that we could live in a world where Bitcoin could be $100 million per coin? What would it take in order for that to happen? I know a lot of people don't care for the debt situation around the world, which is completely out of control. I don't know. It's just, I thought I'd make a video on it. Like I said, the weekend videos, I tried to make them not, I'm not intentionally trying to make this a fun video, but it's just to have more of a discussion. We have so many times where we just talk about the news, and especially over the last 7 months, news has been kind of serious, especially with the prices of stuff going down. But we have a lot of predictions that Bitcoin is either going to hit $250,000 or $1 million by the end of 2020. And if you then only, we enter a scenario where even if you only had 0.01 Bitcoin or even 0.006 of a Bitcoin, that you would still have $500,000 to $1 million, which you'd be able to definitely, live your life with. Okay, I guess that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Let me guys know what you think. I actually really enjoy making these videos. I think we've had so much bad news. I like anything that's kind of out of the ordinary, if you will. I like talking about other things that could be happening in the cryptocurrency market. If you have any other ideas for something similar to this that you would like to hear me talk about, or like to kind of research on and just to, make a discussion video about it, tell me. I don't mind at all, as long as it's not people telling me to talk about how their coin is so much better. Someone wrote in the comment section below, I don't know if it was a joke or not. I looked up the coin that they told me to look up. I think it was like number 216, and they were telling me to tell other people in a video why it was better than Bitcoin because it was quicker and how this coin was going to take over the world. Don't write things like that. It's just kind of all over the place. I don't know what to do with information like that. Anyway, the point is, yeah, that's gonna do it for this video. I really like doing stuff like this. I think it's interesting to even with my other video where I was talking about where I would put my a little bit of money into the 13 different coins. The intention was not to make people upset by telling other people not to buy fractions of Bitcoin. I even said it in the video. I said, this is for fun. This is stuff that I would do. I am not telling you to do it. So I think that the fact that people got, a little frazzled from my information is, I don't know, just life, I suppose. Hope you guys are having a great day, morning, afternoon, and or evening, wherever you are, wherever you might be. I wouldn't be mad at all if Bitcoin hit $100 million. I really would not. I promise you from the depths of my soul, I do not have a lot of Bitcoin, but I think even just having one or even half of one and still making 50 million in 12 years, I don't think many people would be mad at that. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I will talk to you all soon. See you.